본 적 있습니까?
Hey everyone, Tyler here at The Movie Beat. Welcome back to another video. In this one, very happy to be sharing with you some thoughts, my reaction to the brand new South Korean disaster film called Sinkhole. I am fresh back from the movie theater here in South Korea where I watched it. So those of you who are wondering, I'm in South Korea and that I saw it at the theaters. So this one, let's just get it right out of the way. Very, very enjoyable summer movie in my opinion. I, for one, am not super keen on disaster flicks, but this one just kind of balanced everything just right. It was great for me. So this is from director Kim Ji-hoon, who brought us films like The Tower, which is another disaster movie, so he's got some experience there, but also May 18th and Sector 7. So maybe if you were just looking at the filmography, a little nervous, these movies aren't typically considered masterpieces, but I, for one, really enjoyed Sector 7. You can see my thoughts on that one in one of my Korean sci-fi episodes. I'll leave a link in the description box. I think The Tower was also pretty watchable, but Sinkhole just kind of balances everything right on, and I think he got kind of the right drama and disaster elements maybe from The Tower is in this one, maybe a little bit better characterizations, but all of that great special effects experience from, say, films like Sector 7 nailed it here. So this was one of my worries going in, just kind of what the special effects were going to look like, if it was going to be cheesy. Not worried anymore at all. Nailed it. So this one stars Kim Sung-kyun, who moves his family into what's called a villa-style apartment here. So maybe this will help kind of setting this up. But in Korea, if you're living in the big cities like Seoul, the ideal housing unit is pretty much considered the apartment, which is like a house here. So that is one of those units inside a like 20+ floor mega building. It's pretty unique to the Korean skyline, in my opinion, just these apartment setups, but they are extremely expensive, and in recent years, like, real estate prices have skyrocketed, and it's really almost impossible for like a middle-class family to get into one of those units. So a lot of these kind of new style villa apartments are popping up everywhere, but the concern really is the safety that kind of goes into those buildings, not the same kind of level of code, the money, the interest that goes into those huge apartments. So that's kind of always a worry. Maybe future resale value is a worry, but this is just kind of the reality of the situation. I think that context kind of helps setting up this story. It's kind of just under the surface, so that might not really translate to foreign audiences, but that safety worry is there. And they set this one up really well. Actor Kim Sung-kyun, who is kind of mostly known as a great supporting actor. He's in a lot of like ensemble type movies. This is also a very ensemble effort, don't get me wrong, but he takes a little bit more of a leading role in it. He does a great job, but he is sort of the head of his little family unit who is moving in, him and his wife and his young son. And his neighbor, who has a amazing introduction, played by Cha Seung-won. You guys are gonna love how they set up his character. I was grinning from ear to ear every single shot that he's in. I don't want to ruin anything, but this character is so good. He's their neighbor, and this film begins as pretty much a comedy. So this house, right off the bat, you can sense that there might be a little bit of problem. We know the film's called Sinkhole, so of course it just so happens that his housewarming party that he invited some of his employees over for, his neighbors, a lot of people go down. And when this sinkhole happens, pretty much the whole apartment villa building drops down. So maybe a couple first floors are crushed, but the top levels they're busted up, but they're kind of intact. And they are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of meters down in the dark. So it makes for a very, very interesting environment that the characters have to live in. I think that they actually handled the swallowing up of this house really well. It was fun to watch. Cars are going down. It was a pretty cool experience. I've never really seen anything like that before. And once they're down there, of course, a whole rescue operation ensues. Certain family members are still at the top, which ones are still in the building. and then there's kind of a rescue mission within the rescue mission that takes place in that house. And I think once it actually sinks down, a lot of the comedy kind of does fade. It's still a little bit humorous, but that's when we get a lot more of that signature Korean drama elements. Some of the characters really come into their own. I was a little bit worried once it got down there, like, all right, what are we gonna do? But the filmmakers found a lot of different ways to keep things interesting. The production design of the busted up house was on point. It was so nerve-wracking. Like every step, you know, the balance could go out. Things were kind of falling from the top. The weather was playing a big part. It's heavy rain. The hole's kind of filling up. There's a lot of mud. It looked so good. And I mean, there's a taxi cab in the living room. So it just makes for a very interesting, well-designed interior space to set up this drama. And it kind of feels like a little bit of a stage play at that time just because they're so restricted as far as where they can go. But I think they handled it really well. Some of the levels are still intact too. So they have a lot of different kind of tight spaces, but we really get to see a lot of the characters come into their own. So I think it was a really great decision to set this one up as a comedy, because as this film goes on, you know, when the rescue starts to unfold and we're figuring out maybe how we're going to get out of here, things get pretty far-fetched, and some of it does look pretty comical, but it was easy to forgive just because of the tone of the film thus far. So it didn't lose me in the dramatic elements. I was able to stay on board, and I was actually able to, you know, have those moving experiences rather than to be thrown out of it, which happens to me in a lot of disaster movies. I'm just like, I am so out of it by now that when those like crying moments come, it's just lost me by then. And this one doesn't do that. So really liked it, and I loved just how the characters evolved. So you guys got to check this one out. Sinkhole, I was very impressed with it. I think the special effects were spot on. Again, production design was nailed. I loved the characterizations. The acting was awesome. Truly another ensemble piece. So I think this is probably Kim Ji-hoon's most enjoyable film that he's made thus far for me. Again, Cha Seung-won, man, without him, I think that this movie might have been dropped down a few points for me. So he really helped to carry this movie. It was so enjoyable. So I'm gonna rate Sinkhole a 7 out of 10. Great summer fun, you guys. Check it out. Let me know your thoughts once you're able to see it. Hopefully this one makes the rounds and it does well and you guys are able to see it soon. So again, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you like, please like and subscribe. And until next time, I'm Tyler here at The Movie Beat. Keep watching movies.